there's no hope here that you're going to get your decision today. But my goal is that you get to know who they are, some of the things they stand for, and then either you'll reach out directly to them, and I really hope that social media is not your main source of information, because actually I don't use it. I have not found it to be very reliable. It will be recorded. It will be on the community, Cannon Falls Community TV. They're filming it for us, so it will be available. And I guess the first thing I got to say is we got to give a thank you to these 12 individuals. Your hat in the ring for any office is very challenging, and it's an important job. And I just kind of went through this position. I mean, it's a challenging position. Let's see, it's increased demands, reduced resources, and then a never-ending unfunded mandates from either state or federal government. And then we ask them to do that. And then as an electorate, we all then vote for our representatives, and we put more mandates on. And so, you know, we're kind of a hard group to satisfy, and we really expect a lot out of them. So it's a tough job. Just a couple of housekeeping things. The restrooms you walk by, men's and women's back that way. You know, it's a beautiful day, time is limited. The schedule is everyone gets 4 minutes for self-introduction. And there are 2 elections, so you will notice that it's going to be treated as 2 groups. We have 9 individuals running for the general election, which is 3 seats. And then we have 3 individuals running for a special election, which is 1 seat and a shorter term. Ms. Decker had a family commitment that was planned a long time ago, and she did send a letter. And when it's her turn, I have a very brief letter to read on her behalf to introduce herself. So she's not here just because of a family commitment. We all have to be respectful of that type of obligations. So the schedule is about 4 minutes self-introduction for each individual. I did provide them with some questions that I sent around to several individuals, business people, homeowners, parents, past school board members, gave it to the candidates. This is not intended to be a gotcha, you know, some complex finance question or something like that. We're asking the individuals to be our representative on this very important position. And to give them hypothetical situations, I don't think it's fair to them or to any candidate, but to kind of understand where they're at and what's important to them is what I hope to have accomplished here. So there's a self-introduction, there are some questions, and then the church is graceful enough to give us some time that there would be some opportunity for one-on-one if you have a specific question or something. I guess, again, as Pastor Tim mentioned, if there was a specific situation with an existing school board member, a staff, or any situation, this really isn't the forum. I mean, that's something you need to reach out on one-on-one for that situation. And there's some other things that, and I'm sure they're going to address what their responsibility really is. And there are other things in the school that, I mean, it's a policy or it's a procedure maybe, but you know, they're not in charge of every detail. It's the organization, yes, they're representing us, so that's the way we'll go. So let's go ahead and start it. I'm going to allow everyone to do their own introductions and go from there. So we'll start at this end and head right on back. However you want to do it, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yes? All right, well, thank you for coming, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Matt Telford. Just a little bit about my background. I moved to Cannon Falls about 10 years ago. I was living in St. Louis Park at the time. My wife and I met online. I said, hey, I got to meet this gal, and we got married. It's been the greatest blessing of my life. And we found this little remote town called Cannon Falls. I had no idea where it was on the map. You know, where am I moving to? Well, it's halfway between Rochester and the cities. I was working in Apple Valley at the time. My enthusiasm for my career, I was selling insurance, just kind of faded. And I was asked to go on a mission trip to New York, Plattsburgh, New York with a group of kids. I had the flexibility, I have a home-based business. And so I said, yes, I'll go with. And I came back. And the lady that I was with resigned her position at St. Joseph's in Eastville. She asked me if I would be willing to be a youth minister. And I said, well, you know, the priest, pastor, etc. And next thing you know, I'm responsible for all of the youth at St. Joseph's. So it's been a great blessing in my life to work with kids, to educate them, to ask them questions, to challenge them. Because there's so much that we can learn, that I can learn from children, along with the knowledge that I can share with them. And so that was what drew me to the school board. The school, I get to spend 1 hour a week with them for 6 months. The rest of the time, they're being educated either in public, private, charter school. And so I wanted to dig into the public schools here and get involved and engaged, and I've done that for the past year and a half. Going to school board meetings, asking questions, sitting on curriculum committee meetings, just digging in and finding out exactly what's going on so I can understand their perspective when I get questions from the kids, especially in areas of morality. And so that's why I'm here. It got my attention. I love children. My wife and I right now do not have any of our own, but Lord willing, we might in the future. But right now, I'm here to learn more about all of our school board candidates. We can learn from all of us. And so that's what I'm excited to be here today, and I look forward to this afternoon. So thank you for being here.
Started 4 minutes there, so I'm Lorianne Clark, and I grew up out in western Minnesota in a small town called Bird Island. My high school graduating class was 33 students, so even smaller than this school. I was the fifth of 6 kids, and I was the first to go to college. I went to Randolph Macon Women's College in Lynchburg, Virginia, because I have to be honest, I did not want to be second best to a football team. Education, when I was paying for it, was very, very important to me. So my first job out of college was for the Small Business Administration in Boston. I spent a couple of years out there. I followed a guy back to Minnesota, and then he dumped me. But that's okay, because a couple of years later, I met my husband Al. We've now been married for 26 years. Cassie was 10 when I married the package, and I'm so fortunate to be able to call her my daughter. She's out in Portland right now. And she graduated from St. Olaf the same year I graduated with my MBA at University of St. Thomas. So that spring, we actually did spring break together. It took me 13 years to get my MBA, one class at a time, while we were running our business. So we own an electronics manufacturing company right here in Cannon Falls. We build embedded boards that take this DSP chip that's in your cell phone and put it into high-end audio applications, and we ship our products all around the world. And we do it from right out the door to high school, all the way to master's in electrical engineering. So I understand kind of the gamut of educational needs, because as a local manufacturer, I need all of those too. So I was involved in 4-H, but honestly, Cassie did a 4-H course with her mom. So even though I did state 4-H ambassador and national 4-H congress, I let her do 4-H with her mom. I did mentor a couple of young girls with kids in kinship out of South Metro area for 7 years. So that was also that weekly commitment one-on-one with a young woman, kind of helping them just be that outside friend, I was in the second cohort of the Blended Community Leadership Program here in Cannon Falls and Randolph. And a couple of years ago, I participated in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program, which was a great 12-week program, because it really, what it allowed you to do was, what's your next growth opportunity, and really analyze everything that you need to do to get there. And what I think is really important about those creativity and critical problem solving skills is, if you think about it, that's exactly what the school board needs to do too, right? It needs to look at the decisions that need to be made, and it needs to bring the best decisions that we can to do the best for our students that we can. So I'm actually in this race because, well, the lack of 4 kind of scared me. It's supposed to be a nonpartisan race, and I kind of like to keep it that way. So I do have a Facebook page that I just created this weekend, so if you want to find Lorianne Clark for Cannon Falls School Board, you can follow me there, and you'll learn a little bit more about me today as well. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
It's starting at 3:45, so Hi, I'm Pam Collins, and I'm running for school board. And I have 4 kids. I'm a mom and a grandma. My 4 kids, we successfully navigated through the educational system. They all 4 have postgraduate degrees of one sort or another. And now I have grandchildren going through the elementary program, and my oldest was actually in the Cannon Falls schools up until last year. And I have to say, I have been passionate about education from the get-go, going back to high school and in college. My degree is in communications, but with a bunch of music packed in there too. But I took a bunch of elementary ed classes, and also piano pedagogy, speech pathology, early childhood development, both on class and off-site. And then I spent a lot of time when my kids were growing up. Let's see, we homeschooled the kids quite a bit during the early years, especially, and then part in some the high school years. We also, our kids attended private school. I also taught in the public school, Goodhue School. I was a sub there 4 or 5 days a week for many years. Everything from kindergarten to high school to, I directed the band, the choir, I coached the kids for speech, solo and ensemble writing, and even taught elementary music 1 year. So I understand the challenges that homeschool parents face because it's not easy. I understand how difficult it is on a limited budget to try to get your child tuition paid when they're going to private school. And I also, having been in the school, truly understand the challenges that teachers are facing in trying to get done what they need to get done. My interest in the school board was actually sparked a little over a year ago when I attended my first school board meeting here in Cannon Falls, and I was taken aback at this auditorium filled with parents that had, it was palpable, the frustration that was boiling over because they were not feeling that their voices were heard. And I thought, how in the world did we come to this place? And I thought, we need to fix this. I started attending the school board meetings mostly to find out what's going on. I've been to most of the meetings for the last year. Occasionally I have something to say, but usually I'm just listening. And I've come to the conclusion, and also I spend every Thursday morning, in fact, I invite you to join me at Cannon Bells from 10 to noon, and I just sit and drink coffee, and whoever would like to come and talk to me, I love it. Some people agree with me, some people disagree with me, it doesn't matter. We need to talk. But what I'm sensing is quite a disconnect. The more people I talk to between the school and the parents, and this has to be bridged, or we're not going to have a healthy environment for our kids to be going to school in. I'm a realtor. I spend all day, every day, when I'm not running the school board, negotiating millions of dollars of deals between people that have polar opposite goals. And we sit on the table, I listen, we get creative, and we find solutions that everybody walks away feeling that that what happened was fair, and that's exactly what I want to do with the school board. We all want the same thing for our kids. We want a good education, we want them to be safe, and we want our teachers to have the resources that they need to be able to do what they need to do. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm Pam Collins. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Dobson, and the first thing I think we should do is give a round of applause to the Vikings for changing their menus. Did they win? Yes. Good. And then losing a world stage, that's always a cause for celebration. A little bit about myself. As I grew up in Duluth, Minnesota, I was the second child of 5 kids in a single-parent family, and we had the struggles of poverty. And at the time, if you lived in poverty, districts really didn't push you that hard. They did something called track. They said, you know what, you're not college material, you're gonna get a job in a factory somewhere. And they directed you in courses that would lead you to that. Well, when I graduated high school, I joined the military out of necessity, and I needed a place to start. Then I realized that I wanted to go to college. And I went. and I struggled because the public school system did not prepare me for college. I take all these remedial classes, I failed classes, I don't mind saying I failed, but I wasn't ready. Then I figured out what was going on, what to do, and I got through it. I graduated college as the only person in my family to graduate college. And I got a degree in teaching secondary social studies. And from 1992 to 2017, I worked for several districts as a substitute teacher. I worked for districts that were well-funded. I worked for districts that had limited resources, and everyone in between. I worked for racially diverse districts. And a lot of things I saw in some of these districts, I saw kids that had given up. That they looked at their lives, the struggles that their parents had, and said, this is going to be my life. And I want to make sure no kid ever believes that. That every kid, when they get out of Canada Falls High School, they have the tools to go to whatever level of higher education they want to, whether it's a college, 2-year or 4-year degree, or if it's a trade school. They have the tools to do the basic things, write a college paper, take notes, things like that, so they can succeed in a higher level of education. Anyway, in the military, now I want to serve this community, and in the military we were taught service before self. In 2008, in 2008, my flight sergeant came to me and said, Dobson, you got 20 years in. You got 2 choices. You can go to Iraq or you can retire. Well, if I retired, somebody else would have had to go in my place. And I wasn't going to put somebody at that risk. So I went to Iraq. Great time, not a good time, but I did. But I served my country, and I want to serve the citizens of Canada Falls here. And the other thing in the military is we don't leave people behind. And I don't think we should leave any student behind, regardless of their socioeconomic status. I want to make sure every student in this district succeeds. Thank you.
I'm so nervous, so please forgive me. It's really good to see so many familiar faces. You guys all turned up because you support the school, the district. You want to be a part of everything. So thanks for coming. I know several of you know who I am by name, and I'm hoping to tell you more about myself that you don't know and try to earn your vote this November 8th. First, I grew up in Canada Falls and chose to raise my kids here as well. I enjoyed going to school here, and I had a pretty typical high school experience. I tried sports, I was a member of the Business Professionals of America, a cheerleader, and part of several other organizations in school. I graduated from Canada Falls schools, as did my husband and all of our siblings. I've since been married nearly 20 years, raised 1 Canada Falls graduate, have another one graduating this year, and I have an 8th grader who has chosen to homeschool this year. I work in the community as a site manager for 3 multi-family housing properties, and I support our local businesses in our community. I have, in the past, volunteered for a number of years with T-ball and youth soccer as a coach for my kids' teams, and I really enjoy being a part of that. I volunteer with local churches. I've donated to several fundraising efforts around town, most recently to the John Birch Park Improvement Project. I've supported the Band Boosters and the Cannon Falls Education Foundation. I've never done any of these things to be flashy or recognized but because I care about our community. I think that's why we're all here, because we care. I don't think there's one candidate up here that's going to tell you they want to be elected, but they don't care about the community. There are just many different opinions on what that looks like, and what that should look like, and how our school should act and respond to the different situations we find ourselves in this day and age. One of the things that I'm most passionate about in regards to our school is the need for better communication between the parents in the school, the teachers in the school and the community at large, and the school and its students. Not teachers talking about what the kids need to do for their assignments, but our kids need a voice at the district level. They deserve to be seen and heard, and they deserve the best educational experience we can offer them, regardless of ability, regardless of societal pressures, regardless of politics, regardless even of my own personal beliefs. I'm ready to work together to offer our kids the best education we can. And another thing I'd like to work on, and that I'm very passionate about, is making sure our neurodivergent kids are receiving the best education they can. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with what an IEP or an individualized education plan is, 504 plan, and the other services that several of our kids receive. When I was a kid, it was just called special ed. It was for kids who needed extra help due to developmental delays. Now it encompasses even more. Dyslexia, auditory processing disorders, ADD, ADHD, mental health disorders, and even Tourette syndrome, which is not widely understood in society today. These kids and their parents, I believe, are very underrepresented in our school, and we could be doing so much more to ensure their success in education and preparing them for the future. I want to be an advocate at our local level to help parents navigate what is already a very stressful time and make sure every child at every ability level feels comfortable at our schools. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am the Mark Lund of the famous last Monday school board meeting. So I appreciate the recognition of the video, and I've got a little explanation for that as well. So, I'm Mark Lund, and I'm part of the 4 candidates that present ourselves as just do school at school. So I'm one of the 3 M's in PANG. I've been a previous member of the school board about 20 years ago. I had 2 daughters that graduated from Cannon Falls, and I've got 5 grandchildren. 2 of my son-in-laws are middle school teachers, one's in Texas and one's in Wilmer. I've been employed as an instructor for a Minnesota Technical College. I developed a curriculum for that coursework. I've actually completed 2 courses of instruction from 2 other Minnesota Technical Colleges, and I served 10 years on a Technical College Advisory Board. I've maintained a 4.0 grade point average from Old Dominion University. My career field has been aircraft maintenance and repair of electronics. I've designed and set up aircraft maintenance facilities and trained numerous employees. I was a director-level manager and know how to manage a budget. I retained a 4.0 grade point average in my aviation course of study for Minnesota Technical Colleges. I was an ambassador instructor assisting in aviation curriculum at Washburn High School in Minneapolis. Some of you may know it's an inner-city school. The students and staff come through metal detectors before they get into the building. They all got picture IDs. Every once in a while, they have a knifing on the bus coming in the morning, and they lock the school down. So I've got some experience with safety at schools. The aviation instruction that I did is they had an avionics program at Washburn High School, and so because of my career, I was asked to help with the instruction of that class. And they combined the mathematics, physics, and science of flight into the curriculum. And then they also were building a 2-person aircraft. And there's no reason why Cannon Falls students can't build an aircraft here in this new facility with remodeling going on in low-tech school. We've lost about 100 kids. There's some 80 kids right now in homeschool, and there's about another 20, 25 kids in other schools in the district. And that loss is about close to $11,000 a person, a student. So that's close to $1 million, a little over $1 million of lost revenue to the school because the students are going elsewhere at homeschool. And so to bring them back, which I'm confident we can do with the Do School at School candidates, we can bring back at least 80 students, $300,000 of pay for an aviation program at the school, and we'll pay for building an airplane, and those airplanes can be resold, just like the house project, building the houses. They sell the houses, generate some revenue. Aviation program could do the same thing. Aviation careers right now are in demand for mechanics, pilots, support crew people, and so I think that would be a good option for our kids to promote in the school, something like that. I'm a factual reader of American history books. I'm one of the 4 uneducated individuals that evaluated the Peggy purchase of the social studies books. I'm one of those, uneducated. We've had one that reviewed those books, actually holds a degree in education from the University of Minnesota. But that group that reviewed those social studies books were determined to be uneducated. The report that we put together is on the back table. You can read the report. It gives the qualifications of our people that reviewed that. I'm also an employee representative with my employer. I know what collective bargaining agreements are, I know what federal law is, I know grievance process. I represent the employees of my workforce. And I'm not there to represent myself, I'm there to represent the employees, the same that happened here as a school board member. My representation, my client is the parents and the students. And thank you very much.
My name is Clinton Showquist, 37 years old. I've lived in the school district for 35 years. I'm involved with the Cannon Falls Football Boosters Club, the Senior Class Party Committee, and also coached youth sports for many years. Been married to my wife Bonnie for 16 years. We have 4 children together. We have a sophomore, a 7th grader, a 4th grader, and a 1st grader. So we have all 3 areas of the school represented. Don't ask me their ages, there's too many of them and they keep changing every single year. I'm a 2003 graduate of Cannon Falls High School. After high school, I went on to attend Brown College for radio broadcasting for about a year. I quickly realized that wasn't the path for me and the lifestyle I wanted to live, even though I had a heck of a face and body for it. After moving on from college, I went back to work on my family farm with my dad and both my brothers. While working there, trying to figure out what my path in life would be. After working there for a few more years, and in June of 2013, I started my own business. And over the course of 9.5 years, I've turned that one business into 4 businesses and have 20 employees. I did that by using 3 major principles, and that is work hard, make educated decisions, and use a heck of a lot of common sense. I don't claim to have all the answers or anything like that, but I do know how to find out the answers. I know how to create different solutions. Okay? For me, I run on my own merit. I don't need to run with other people to get votes. What you see is what you get. I wear my emotions on my sleeves. And this town, I feel, needs a leader. Or this school needs a leader. And that is what I am, and that's what you'll get. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Thompson. I'm currently on the school board. I was a school board member, I think in 2002 for 5 years. I was really interested in the school because of education, just really in general. I was the first in my family, as others have noted, to graduate from college. My mother was really driven to have her 6 kids going to one college. And to this day, I'm still the only one that has graduated. So it was really something that was important to me. I have 3 daughters. They graduated from Cannon Falls. We moved here 22 years ago. Even though it's been 22 years, I still feel like an outsider. I'm sure some of you don't really know who I am. I haven't run across paths, but my wife, who's sitting here, is in my support. We've been married for 36 years. We met at St. Cloud, and I think from that, we really built a family tradition of education. My 3 daughters have gone on to be prepared for college. They have graduated from college. One is an attorney, who's working in employment law. One is a financial analyst, being very successful. And my 3rd daughter is a executive director for Ronald McDonald House in Wisconsin. So for me, their success comes back to Cannon Falls. because of the education that is provided here. And I think each of you have all spoke already of having some education tied to Cannon Falls here. We have a good program. We provide a lot of programs. We provide a wonderful education. And now with the most recent referendum, we are addressing the need that was what I know as SHOP, is the CTE group, along with the HVAC. So I think what Mark alluded to in the number of students that we are down, yes, every parent has the choice to put their student in private, public, or homeschool. And the number of students after high school has come down over the last several years. And we've had to do cuts. It's not a fun thing to do, because I realize that we're affecting people. For one, you have teachers that are losing their role. You also have the potential for losing programs, and that's the one thing that we've always chosen to stick to, is not to cut a program. The last time we actually did a program was the FACTS, home active. Don't think of it, but so I think my message really here is that as much as there's all these people out, and I appreciate you coming to see and hear who the candidates are, I also kind of question why there's so many candidates today. I ran in early 2002, I think there was 4, maybe 5 people for 3 roles. Now today, we have 12 for 4, which is really 9 running for 3 and 3 running for 1. Why is that? And why do we have 4 people running together? And what's the agenda behind each of it? So, I've never had an agenda. I've been asked, what's your agenda? Education. It's all about education. It's all about the student. It has nothing to do with me as an individual. I'm not political. I don't want this political part as far as what's been going on in the community. I'm running because I believe in the city, the community, and what I can give back to it. I'm a financial advisor with Merrill Lynch in Rochester. I've been in the industry for the last 34 years. And my education, I graduated in economics, is to give that expertise back to the district. And some of the questions that are going to come up, one concern is finance, and that's where I step up. And so I think a few things I want to mention too is Melissa and I have been involved in the community from day one. I've been on the Education Foundation Board as part of the Cannon Falls JCs. We've been on home tour the first year that we were here. And we've always helped with the senior class party. And so hope to see you all on November 4th.
Hello, thank you for coming. My name is Luke Winchell. For those of you that don't know me, active in the community. I'm born and raised a bomber. I always have been. My mom taught in Cannon Falls for years. She still subs in Cannon Falls because we need it, right? We need the help. Okay, the school is an asset to the community. My wife also is a bomber, and she can't be here tonight because she's at home with our 4 bombers. Okay. And they're a lot to take on. We've got a 7-year-old, 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn. So things are a little bit crazy at home, but that's why I'm here, because that's what my heart feels. Okay? And the opportunities that I had through this school were immense, right? The school is not perfect. I'm not perfect. I have some classmates here. They know I'm not perfect. Right? I have teachers that are in that building that taught me. They know I'm not perfect. The school is not perfect, but we're striving to get there. And the community, we need support from the community. We need the school, so I am on the board currently. I was appointed back in the winter, so I'm almost a year into this, and I'm learning lots. What I'm learning is the school has got a great program. It really does. And what you don't hear sometimes is the good things, right? You hear a lot of the distractions, right? And Mark referenced this earlier, and this is not to point fingers, but we had a giant distraction at our board meeting on Monday. Okay? And it's not to point fingers, but it was a distraction, and it took away from all the good things we had in that meeting. All the good things that we did, not the board, what the board did, but what the students are doing, and what the teachers are doing, and the administration. Okay? What you didn't hear about, and you probably saw the video, and you saw these things, and it was unfortunate, but did you hear about the scholarships that were awarded to our students, right? We had a scholarship, we had a young lady get a scholarship from the Minnesota Twins. There was 3 in the whole state. Cannon Falls student has one. Yeah. Pretty cool, right? But you don't see that in this group. Is a distraction. They're trying to distract, to take the focus off the good things, because they think there's a need for change. I don't think there's a need for change. I'm in that school, dropping my kids off, I see the good work that is being done. The meeting was a perfect meeting to have something like this happen and have it go up there, because the MCA scores were released, right? And this group will tell you the scores are down and all that stuff. Our MCA scores are higher than the state average, across the board, okay? So we can throw that distraction out of the way. We took a decrease in reading, right, over last year, okay? We're not perfect, but we're working on getting there, okay? Our test scores, surrounding districts are above most, except for a couple, okay? We're not perfect, but we're striving to get there. It's important to know that our test scores are good. Our students are working hard, and our teachers are great, okay? And I think we need to know this. The school has to do a better job, I believe, of promoting that, right? The good things that are happening, but we need the community to work with us and understand the distractions are there for a reason, understand the good things as well. And lastly, in that meeting, Gemini, I think you're all familiar with Gemini, right? Pretty good company, one of the largest employers in the city, awarded us, or trusted us with a $100,000 donation. Okay? And it's not their first, they've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars via equipment, but they entrusted us, the school, because they know the programming that is being done in that school. Okay? But you don't hear those things. And I want you to understand, I'm an open book, you can call me, you can text me, and we need to share those things. And when I was in Cannon Falls, it felt like community. And I think there's a little bit of a gap here, and when I made my first pitch to get on the board originally, I wanted to bring the community together, okay? And the parents are a part of that, but we have to celebrate those wins, because there's plenty of them. So thank you.
I am Arlo. I am running for the 2-year seat, and I'm a college graduate from UW Falls, like others, first one in my family to go to college, graduate college, and got 4 adult-age kids, 2 grandkids. You know, America is exceptional for many reasons, but one of the many key reasons is the commitment that we have to an educated populace. Since the early days, citizens have pooled their money to build a school for the community, employ teachers to do school at school. We value every child's education. Public school would be easy if we all shared common values, religion or absence of religion, basic worldviews, but we don't, and that's good. That's America's splendor. But as it is now, all taxpayers support public schools. It's my desire to make Cannon Falls Public School the best it can be, hopefully making it more attractive to all residents with school-age students. To use every tax dollar wisely before asking taxpayers for even more money. There needs to be focus on what we all do hold as valuable and help towards the common goal hard to find anyone who would object to math, reading, science, music, art, fact-based social history studies, sports, economics, for example, being taught as using curriculum that's politically, racially, sexually, religiously neutral. Another thing about me, I believe in servant leadership. The school board exists to serve the teachers, students, parents, and the entire community. This means listening to all the above, making the best possible decision after hearing all interests within the constraints of budgets and the law as it is, but also be willing to work to seek to change the laws that are not helpful toward the goals of education. What goals? If you've been to a school board meeting, I think the writing on the wall, literally, is pretty good. Provide a safe, nurturing, challenging, and inspiring environment to educate all individuals to be lifelong learners and responsible, productive citizens. It's hard to find anyone who would object to these goals. And as long as it's being brought up, I am on the signs with Pam and Matt and Mark, and it is not agenda-driven. We are seeking to be listeners to the community. We've all been asked to go on this journey. Anybody who thinks going on the school board is an ambition of ours, it's not. We've all been encouraged by many people. And the reason there's 12 people running is because there's frustration with the school board. That's that plain and simple. So, appreciate your vote. Thanks.
Does this mean that we save the best for last? So my name is Jordan Williams. My husband is Zeke Williams, and he is a 2006, gosh, we are old, graduate in Canada Falls here. We have 2 kids who are in elementary school, and I'm also a labor and delivery nurse, and I've actually delivered a lot of the kiddos in town here, so that's kind of fun. I have spent a few years, the last few years, volunteering in the PTO and stuff, whenever I can, whenever I'm not at work. My husband and I help coach T-ball in the summers, whenever we're not spending our summers down at the Bears baseball field. I'm here because I want to do my part for this great community and for our kids. Being on the school board, kind of like mentioned, is not for the faint of heart, like that last meeting, my goodness. But I'm here to give it 102%, honestly. And why? Because a friend of mine once said, because I have skin in this game, my kids are going to these schools, and I want to keep them being an amazing school. And so that's just kind of my goal. We are, my kids, your kids, I want to do everything in my power to make sure that our kids and our schools are staying awesome, and for the staff as well. You know, it's not just about that too, because if we don't have happy staff, you know, then we don't have happy kids, right? Being a nurse, I consistently have to make life or death decisions and problem solving and being proactive instead of reactive. I think those are huge skills, I think, that you can bring to a board, as well as being a team player. You know, being a nurse, I mean, that's what it's all about, you know, and I want to bring those skills to this board. I want to do that for this board. My family and I also partook in a committee. We created our own committee, actually. About 8 years ago, we started and built a Veterans Memorial in the town that I'm from, New Prague, Minnesota. Working on that committee, we worked with many different people, all different backgrounds, and you had to appease to all. You had to appease the community, you had to appease to everybody else on there, and you had to play ball. You had to work together as a team. That's what makes things successful. And I think bringing that kind of stuff to this board is something that my motivation and my drive, it's just stuff that I want to bring to this board. It's stuff that I think that's valuable and important. I fully plan on earning everybody's trust, because I don't think that you can just give that out. I think that has to be earned. I think you'll see real quick that I'm just a regular parent who isn't here with an agenda, and honestly just an OBS person, truly. I think parents and teachers and support staff and the community, I think it's our job to all work together as a team. I'm a person who always wants to see all sides of a story before any decisions are made, because I think that's what makes an educated decision. That's what makes a good decision, is looking at aspects from all sides. So I hope to see you guys out there on vote day in November. Thank you.
You want to hand that to Luke? Okay. So for all fairness, when I started to organize this, Ms. Decker indicated that she had a family commitment, and I offered to her the willingness to read her introduction for her. She did submit it. If you do read the Beacon and see the letters to editor, this might seem a little bit familiar to you. I made that promise to her, and I'm going to honor her. And so it will be in her voice. So when I say I'm Ms. Decker, it's the way she read it. Thank you to the forum organizers for allowing me to introduce myself with this statement, since I am out of town on a long-planned family event. I'm Peggy Decker, and my name is on the ballot for Cannon Falls School Board special election. I'm a retired pediatrician who knows a lot about kids and families. I've lived in Goodhue County for 28 years, in Cannon Falls School District for 17. I grew up in Missouri, the youngest of 7 children. We all attended the local public schools, were active in our church, played sports, listened to and made music, and had lively dinner table conversations. Each of us had an advanced degree in a different subject matter. I attended college and medical school in California. I married and had 2 children before doing my pediatric residency at the University of Minnesota. After retired from my Red Wing-based practice, I was not done serving kids. The evidence about long-lasting benefits of quality early education is so strong that I spent 2 years as an American Corps volunteer teaching social emotional skills in the Cannon Falls preschool from 2018 to 2020. I have 6 reasons I filed for the school board special election seat. Strong public schools are a community resource, even if you don't have a child in the schools, and we need to pay for them. As one of the friends put it, good public schools are the greatest engine for individual prosperity that have been invented. The evidence is all around us. Just as important as individual academic and professional success is the role that schools play in teaching our children to be informed and involved citizens. Schools also provide facilities that the whole community use. They provide opportunities for lifelong learning. They center activities in the downtown area which benefits surrounding businesses. They provide safe childcare so parents can work outside the home if they choose, and so much more. 2, strong public schools support teachers who know their subject areas and are experts in the art and science of education. I came from a family of educators and have been a tutor, youth mentor, coach, and a volunteer in a variety of school and programs. That doesn't make me an expert in curriculum, teaching, or many subject matters. I respect the expertise and experience of our professional staff. 3, I respect families and the marvelous variations in raising healthy, happy children. Parents deserve to be heard about decisions are made for all children. My motto is to assume good intentions. It goes a long way toward bridging divides as we build a school community. 4, every child deserves respect, safety, and opportunities to learn and grow. 5, not every child starts out on the same page. Some grow up on multiple generation family farms. Some are new immigrants. Some have experienced trauma or not and had basic needs met. Some have not known hardship. Some are gifted and some have special needs. Some schools must meet the challenge of educating them all and establish a safe, secure environment and culture where learning can happen. This is a complicated task that is led by the superintendent under the direction of the board. 6, when I put my name on the ballot, the only other listed candidate was opposed to funding schools and clearly did not share my values. It was these 6 reasons at the top of my mind that I met with Joe Williams, whose name is now also on the ballot in this special election. We share many of these values. While we don't agree on everything, this election is too important to split the vote 3 ways. I can't remove my name from the ballot at this time, but if you are thinking of voting for me, please consider Joe Lynn. Early absentee voting begins September 23rd. Go to vote411.org for more information about candidates. Find your polling place and see what's on your ballot. Peggy Decker, candidate for Cannon Falls School Board. Okay. Now on to the question section. Just for a point of clarification, there are 2 elections going on. So we're going to treat the general election with the question first, and then that same question the special electional answer. And we're going to continue in that process all the way through and try to have, we're probably not going to do a perfect job of getting everyone to get a chance to be in first, but we're going to start at one end, pass the mic this way, and then go back the other way, just for speed and convenience of operation. The questions were developed by working with past candidates, past school board members, business people were asked for comments, parents, professionals, variety. They were given the questions ahead of time, so they had a chance to think about them. This is not intended to be a gotcha or a question of that nature. So the first question, and we'll be starting with Mr. Winchell, I believe. What do you see as the top 3 priorities for Cannon Falls Independent School District 252?
Yeah, thanks, Jack. I think this is my favorite question on here because I think it's the most important when you go to vote. You know, the 3 things that I think are important, and I mentioned in my opening statement, was bridging this gap that appears to be present between the community and the school. Okay, and I had that same question before I was on the board, and it's kind of how I got involved. And the school, through every conversation I've had, has picked up the phone call, answered emails, and they don't understand why there's this gap as well either. So I think it's important to have a voice on the school board that is in the community, that has been in the community, is willing to be in the community. Okay, so I feel I can help bridge that gap because you see me around, whether it's a sporting event or a play, running fundraisers, playing for the Bears, being on the board of the Bears, or on John Bush Park Supporters, a nonprofit. I'm out there. You see me, and you see me in a positive way. Secondly, I had a lot of discussion about this, and I'm not an expert in this by any means, but I would like to see the school improve its mental health areas. You know, I'm a parent watching my kids go through COVID and what that does and how that feels. These kids are at a disadvantage through that process, right? We're adults, we feel it. And imagine being a young one going through school or not being able to get to go to school because you don't want to get sick, and now you're back in here and we're seeing behavior issues. I'd love to see some help online. I don't know how to get there right now, but I'm willing to work for it. I'm willing to dig into that. I realize that that is an issue we have with our young ones today. And lastly, pretty passionate to me is enrollment. It's true, there's some enrollment things that have happened. We can all discuss why they happened. But I'm here with this. I think I have solutions to get that back. And that's being a voice on the board that wants to be in the community. You know, one thing that I was surprised by, my mother-in-law, the largest daycare provider in town, ran it for years. And she never got anyone from the school to come in and say, hey, here's all the great things we can do. You know, when those children are leaving that daycare, someone should try to get them, right? Someone, and I believe Cannon Falls, because I believe the days of assuming a child is born in this town are just going to go to Cannon Falls are over, right? Open enrollment, parents working from home, they can go to the next district over. We need someone in those daycares saying, maybe it's reading a book and saying, hey, Cannon Falls has these great things to offer, take this home to your parents. Okay, I think it's something simple we can do. And enrollment is important to me. We do need a strong class sizes, and that to me is really important to keep the school in its best shape. Thank you.
So, again, the question is, what are the top 3 priorities of Cannon Falls School District? From my perspective, being on the board, the top 3 priorities in my mind are, first and foremost, the fund balance. I think you've all read the newspaper about where the school district is financially. We've looked at it, we've done the referendum, we've had maintenance issues, which is my second issue, but I'll come back to that. So, first and foremost, fund balance. It is required by the district to keep a certain dollar amount or percentage of the expenditures, the revenue in the district. And so for the last several years, we've been behind on that. And so as a percent, in 2018, just for example, it was 6.42%. And it got down as low as 4.96%, which is out of where we're supposed to be at from the auditor's exam of 12 to 16%. And what that's really saying is that we're supposed to have a rainy day fund. Much like yourselves, you have a home, cars, issues that come up. We're required to have 2 months' worth of funding available for that events if something comes up. We've been very shy on that, and the goal for us has been to turn that around. And so I can say that last year we went from 4.96 to 6.57. So we've made a change. The community came out and helped us with that by passing the referendum and helping us with, one, the HVAC system, which was very necessary at the school to control the heat and cooling. Safety, everyone was concerned about COVID, cleared the air, and now the technology question was $200,000. I was surprised it didn't pass the first time. And so we went back to the voters and asked for your support. And all of you hopefully helped us with that. And we're starting on the upward projection for our fund balance. So thank you for that. Secondly, maintenance. The roofs have been the biggest drain on the district. I don't think everyone really understands how much it takes to repair a roof. And so we were able to look at the CCC, great building for the community, and the community came out and passed the referendum to save that building because in the end, the district was putting money out and it was not a positive, it was a negative for the district. We were using the building, the community was using the building, and in the end, we were spending more money than we were getting back. So now, from your support, we're going to be able to maintain that building and move forward. So, the school, middle school, high school, and elementary school, we still have projects. And we need to build a fund, and we're working on this. We use some of the energy money that gets set aside and restricted for maintenance. And I think that's the concept that I like, is just not sticking it in the side. We're focusing and putting dollars aside for maintenance. So we have another question in here, but the track is being redone, resurfaced, we redid the gymnasium. Things of that nature need to be done on a regular basis, much like your homes. So thirdly, a concern that's not really, I think, talked about a lot. I think from my standpoint, I'm on the negotiations committee, negotiating contracts with teachers, the cooks, admin, and in this current environment, they're hard to come by. And I think it's vital that we realize that without your funding and help and referendums, the state, contact your elected officials at the state, that we need more funding. And it's not about spending money on a chair, it's providing education to these students, because every time we have cuts, we're affecting their education. And I think that's really vital for people to understand. So, teachers, all administration, the cooks, everyone. The other one I really kind of, and you might see it, but you might not hear about it so much, but is down at the bus garage. We are short on bus drivers. So anyone that's interested, looking for part-time work, and because going to work the other day, I heard on the radio that Rochester Public Schools I help classes a half hour early just because they didn't have enough bus drivers. And the reasoning was because they had to have the bus drivers go out, drop kids off, and come back again. That's not 2 routes. We don't want to be in that situation, so it's just a concern that I have. So I just want it to be known that if you have someone that might be on the margins that could do it, sign them up.
Is that 1 minute? My answers are going to be a heck of a lot shorter, I tell you that. For my 3, echoing different things that both Bill and Luke said, it's balanced budget. Determining the difference between needs and wants, that's mainly what we need to do. Also, retaining students in our own district. We lost quite a few students over the last couple of years. We need to keep them here, and we also need to make our school an attractive place for new families considering moving into our community. Also, I feel the biggest thing is retaining our staff. We have an amazing staff, we have amazing educators here. We need to make sure that we're keeping the best ones here. Also, different students that are deciding that they're going to become a teacher, we want them to come back home, and we need to keep them here. So that's what I feel our 3 major things are. Thanks. Told you I'd keep it quick.
Well, my first priority, and probably the biggest one that would affect the next 2, would be to make sure that we are involving the parents and the public, the taxpayer, in all the decisions we make. As an example, last Monday night, since it has been brought up a few times, the state statute for appointing a board member requires a resolution before that appointment is made. And then there's a part of that statute that allows for the public to file a petition against that decision. That's a First Amendment right of the U.S. Constitution that was violated to the public to not have that right to file a petition against an appointee. It's a due process problem, and my effort is, number 1 is to educate the public and the parents. Second item is, in case you don't know, is 2/3 of the members of the district's curriculum committee is supposed to be made up of 2/3 of people from the community. That's not school staff, that's not teachers, that's not administrators. It's supposed to be community representatives on that curriculum committee. This is the statute, the whole statute of curriculum. And in here it allows parents and the community members to be on that committee, to do the assessments, the evaluation of the curriculum, to come up with strategies that will improve the education and academics of the students. I've got a table in the back. I can share with you all the rule requirements. I've got, going back to 2017, the academic performance of MCA test results on that table. And what you're going to see is a sporadic up and down. There is no trend to improve the academic excellence of our students. And that needs to change. We need to get an upward trend. Mr. Winchell seems to be happy with being just above the state average. There was a gentleman who's passed away who used to be on the record that explained what average was. Average is the best of the worst and the worst of the best. And we don't want to be average. We want to be the best. And so my important thing is to involve the parents, the community, educate the community on their rights and their parent rights. Parents right now have the right to review the full curriculum that's being taught to your students. It's required by law. It's permitted by state law. How many know that? You can go in right now and ask for the curriculum for your students. If there's something in that curriculum you don't agree with, or it's not for your values, you can opt out of that lesson. If the school has an alternative, they're supposed to provide you an alternative. How many know that? And so I think the key is, and it shows right here, unfortunately, one of the candidates who's on the board doesn't recognize why there's so many candidates for this election. It's because they're not happy with what's going on in the school. That's the reason. We've got graduates of Cannon Falls right now that have their kids in homeschool. Why is that? What's going on in the school that causes this many qualified candidates to run for 4 positions on the board, and this board member can't understand why that is? He's disconnected from the community. That's the answer. Thank you.
No, do not clap for him. Absolutely not.
We were told to keep our answers under a minute, so mine are much shorter again. I believe the top three priorities are, first and foremost, academic achievement. That's what a school is for. The school is supposed to be emphasizing the importance of academic achievement. I don't know why any other thing would be first. Secondly, accountability and transparency to our community. We must make sure we are collecting input from our community and reporting to them how we are acting on that input. And thirdly, supporting our teachers and making sure that they are the experts we are looking for regarding curriculum, conduct standards in the classroom. I mean, they're with our kids every day. They know what's happening in the classroom. They can tell us.
Hi, the problem with this format is, as I look at my answers, it's going to sound like I'm cheating off somebody else's paper. It's written down here if you want to look. Before I go over the first 3 priorities, I want to, maybe a point of order. I don't think this forum is the right place to attack other people running for office. Let's just give our answers to the questions, leave the other candidates out of it. It's a lot for us to put ourselves out there. We don't need public criticism. If you want to have a campaign event, go right ahead, but this is not the forum for it. One of the first priorities, I think, is mental health support for students, staff, and teachers. I can say that honestly because I've been in the trenches as a teacher. I did a long-term sub job in Duluth, Minnesota many years ago, and there were times things went so bad I wanted to quit, and I had nobody to talk to. I had one time a student was walking behind me, she said my name, and I said, "I've got something to do, I'll talk to you later." And all of a sudden she just burst into tears and said, "Mr. Dobson, I have a problem, you don't care." I'm like, "Yes, I do care." And I talked to her and I brought her to the counselor's office. You gotta understand, teachers and students have a lot to deal with. Students have stuff at home they deal with stuff at school, they deal with bullying. Not every kid has rainbows and sunshine as their life. Teachers, they're the brunt of attacks from every level of society if something goes wrong. So we need to take care of their mental health along with staff. Second, we need to help students catch up academically and socially that were damaged by the COVID shutdowns. However you feel about the shutdown, doesn't matter, it happened. We have to move on and fix that. Third, halting exodus of students and attracting new students to the district. We need to do that. We need to bring more kids in because more kids mean more money. We have to have attractive programs, things that get kids involved. We want to go outside this district and say, we got a school that you would be proud to send your kids here. They would love to come here. They would learn things. They would be great adults after going here. There's other things. School safety is an issue. Now I'm a lifelong career in military security. I know what it takes to make a building safe, and well, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not getting into it. And then last, we need to recruit and retain the best teachers and staff for the school. Thank you.
Ditto what you just said. That's the problem with being one of the last ones, because I'm thinking that the priorities probably are fairly universal across the board for what we want for our kids. But I'll clarify a little bit for me. The number one priority that should affect every decision we make, every dollar that we spend, and it should be the lens through which we look at every program that we do has to be academic excellence. And I have heard touted the U.S. News and World Report where we have these high rankings, and the greatschools.org. I did a little bit of a deep dive, and I was a little bit surprised to learn that did you know that the statistics or the database for the 2022 report for our school is using data going back 2016, 17, 17, 18, and 18, 19. Those 3 years averaged together. Has nothing to do with 20, 21, or 22. I have the reports right here if you want to take a look at them. And the problem is those years, we were above average most of the time, barely above average. We weren't that high above average. That was before COVID. And I know that things really took a hit during the COVID time. Everything that we do as a school district takes a back seat until our third graders are all reading at grade level, because until they do, they're going to be handicapped for the rest of their education. Because in fourth grade, that's when you start reading to learn. And if our kids are graduating and only 50, 60% of them are reading and have math skills, and the 50 and 60, if only 50 or 60% of them have these skills, they're handicapped for life. And so what we need to do is do everything we can to support our teachers community-wide to be able to bridge that gap and bring it up to where it should be. That's number one priority. Number two priority is what several alluded to, transparency and parental involvement in the community. We don't have a proper forum right now where we can just talk to each other. And instead it becomes a public sparring match at the board meetings. And that doesn't work. That doesn't solve anything. So I'm not sure exactly how that forum would take place. That's one reason that I've been sitting at Canville's every Thursday morning. So number two, we have to have that transparency and parental involvement. And number three, nobody's really touched on this, but it's big to me. Our classrooms have to be non-political. They have to be places of education, not indoctrination.
Okay, I'm going to say two things similar, and then maybe one thing a little different or unique from a kind of a big picture perspective. My first priority as a school board member is always the students. Are we doing everything we can to help our students prepare for a global changing economy? Second is staff. I want to be able to support all the staff members, the teachers, the paraprofessionals, we sure that our administrations, our janitorial, everything that they need to do the best that they can for their students. The third thing I'm going to say that is a little different is going to be return on investment. When we're talking about budgets, and we're talking about numbers, and we're talking about enrollments, I remember in 2018 we had an expert come down and do a presentation at the school about school budgets and where all the money comes from and how much of it is restricted and how difficult it is at the general fund to make a lot of changes because transportation money comes from here and food comes from here and everything. And so we're really challenged on that. I believe it is $11,000 per student dollars. What some of you probably also know is that we are considered a donut hole school. Have you heard that phrase before? So we're a donut hole school because we're in the middle of the hole where we're not big enough, but we're not small enough. You see, the small schools get extra funding because they're really small. You know, my 33 graduating students class at high school, they got extra funds because they're really small. We're in the donut hole. We don't get quite as much money. And then the bigger schools, well, they get more money because they have more students at $11,000 per kid, right? So we talk about growth and enrollment, and yes, we do have development going on. We've got 8 new apartments coming on, we have some other development coming on. And I've asked a couple of times, what are the numbers really? Because if we have a worldwide maybe recession showing up soon, is it reasonable to expect growing enrollment? Or do we maybe look at what happens if we drop below the donut hole and down into the small numbers? So I guess what I'm trying to say is, let's take a creative look too. We always say that lower enrollment is bad, but is it? Do we really know that for sure? If we had lower enrollment and we got more money from the state because we're a smaller school, would that be a bad thing for our students or a good thing? So let's bring in creative and critical thinking as well, understanding the impact of that donut hole and where we sit right now to our budgets.
So, my number one priority, so I'm not running to win this election. I'm running to do once I'm on the board. And in order to do, I need to be better. I myself need to live up to the vision statement and mission statement as Buchanan Falls High School. Part of the mission statement is to have lifelong learners. What that means to me is I need to come to the meetings, studying ahead and studying the agenda, having formulated questions, having know the district policies, being prepared to have a fruitful discussion so I know what I'm talking about. So that's, you know, John Maxwell said the highest form of leadership is to not just do what I say because I've done it, but do what I say because I'm doing it. So we need our administrators, our school board members to mirror and to live what we're asking the school to accomplish in our mission statement. Number two, I also fear about the enrollment, but I also, like, why are we losing kids? That's a question that needs to be asked to parents and listen, why are we losing them? And then we need to take that data and we need to talk about it and solve that problem. And then third is to listen at board meetings. Not just hear what people have to say, but listen to them. And when I say listening, I mean everyone that speaks at a board meeting has something of value to share. And a lot of times, I know board members don't agree with people. But there's a truth, there's a nugget of gold that everyone shares because they care, and that's important. So we need to mine from that gold. It takes extra work, especially when you disagree with people. But we need to do that as a board member. And those are my top three. Thank you.
You have a mic there, Ms. Wood? You just turn it on. There's a switch there. Get it. All right.
My goodness, you guys, it is supposed to be just a minute. Being a mom, I'm going to be honest with you, it's full mama bear mode. Safety is a huge priority for me. All the sad, horrible things that have happened in schools and stuff like that, shootings and everything like that, safety is an issue for me. And staff retention, I think staff retention is huge. I think in order to, keep kids happy, like I said, you want to have happy staff as well, and like we talked about previously, we don't want to lose programming, we don't want to lose certain classes, certain topics that kids might want to be educated on, and that has to do with staff. We have to have staff to do that. And then parent involvement, I know everybody's just going to talk about that too, transparency and parent involvement. I think that's huge in the community. I think I want to know what's happening, I want to know what's happening, I want to know what my kids are doing, I want to know what everyone else's kids are doing and everything like that. I want to know what the staff are doing. So I think that's important as well.
I can be Clint. Academic improvement, safety, and staffing. There's 6 para-teacher positions that are open right now. They haven't even had applicants. So, in addition to bus drivers, if you're interested in that, go for it.
Thank you to the ones that were very brief. I chose to be the top one to speak rather than try to stop something. I think we're only going to do one more question because we've been going a while. So we're going to do one more question and give everyone an opportunity to do a brief synopsis. And then those of you that have greater questions or more interest, the church is going to allow us to stay here. You can either go in the hall or stay here in the fellowship hall and get a chance to talk one-on-one. To the candidates, I apologize, but we got to be realistic on our time. And so I'm going to choose one more question. You've all talked about it. quite a bit in quite a different areas. And so how do you envision communicating school district's accomplishments? And we'll start with you, sir.
Everywhere and everywhere that I am in the community, I'm going to be recognizing those teachers and those students that are exceptional. We have, from what I've known since my time 10 years in Cannon Falls, we have many, many things to be proud of as a community. I'm learning about that every day. At the board meeting on Monday, we have a national merit semifinals. Those don't come around every day. That needs to be recognized and promoted in all the means that are available to the community, whether that's the social media pages, the television, newspapers, word of mouth. Teachers, same way. I know I was talking to John, you know, looking at the MCA scores. There's certain teachers that just amazingly have improved over the past year. What are they doing? They need to be recognized. They need to be interviewed, find out what are you doing in your classrooms to inspire kids to have this great turnaround, because they have suffered in the last 2 years. So we need to recognize performance. We need to recognize meritocracy for the teachers and the students.
So I ran for the Minnesota House in 2018, and some of you might remember that. What I learned from my social media marketing management at that time is video is so effective. And in fact, if you look at the views of recent video, you understand it's very true, right? So I think, now we've got some privacy issues. Let's remember, we want to promote our students and our school, right? But we've got some privacy issues that we have to consider as well. Nevertheless, I think divide and conquer is one of the best ways that you get things done. If we say someone should be posting, it doesn't work near as well as, can we get you to always post about the speech? Can we get you to always post about football? Can you guys post about academic achievements? Can we post about the good things like donations to the school? Divide and conquer across social media, across our beacon, across all the opportunities that are out there to promote what our students are doing. And of course, there's also, you can put it out there, but if you don't go looking, you're not going to find it. So guess what? You need to be subscribed, and you need to be going and checking it out too.
Yeah. In Cannon Falls, we are very, very fortunate because we have our own local newspaper, and it's very well read. And we should be taking more advantage of that, I think, I believe in the past I've seen like the superintendent's corner. Why shouldn't there be the school board update? It should be a regular, continuous place that the community could go to for information about what's going on in the school district. Because there is a lot of really good things to talk about, and we need to focus on those. There's also, like she was saying, the social media. We all know how huge that is right now. There's the school website, Facebook, and I still keep thinking, and I haven't figured it out exactly how it's going to be formatted yet, but we need to have a regular public forum where people can discuss what needs to be done, and be involved in all the various committees, curriculum, finance, transportation, etc. So, and as a school board member, I think that we are walking, talking billboards on behalf of the school district too.
Okay, people already touched on this, so everybody else is going to do it. With social media, local paper, and the local media. And I believe, as she said, I believe that the school board members should be ambassadors to the community. We should make ourselves available in public in less coordinated atmospheres where there can be give and take. Now, I agree that there must be rules in the school board meeting to prevent them from getting out of hand, but you as voters deserve to be heard and get answers right away from us. I know it's hard for people to wait a week or 2 weeks, so it's my intention to make myself available on a regular basis to you. So if you want to come to me in public, say, hey, this is what my issue is. And I don't want to just hear from people that agree with me. I want to hear from the people that disagree with me the most. I'll give you a chance to set me right, and I'll try to set you right. Maybe we come to consensus. We've got enough division, we don't need any more. Gotta stop, okay.
All right, so I happen to think that the school actually really does a pretty good job now of putting information out on Facebook of like sports achievements and major academic achievements such as, you know, huge scholarships from the twins and all that good stuff. However, not every student is on a team or winning a scholarship. Some maybe are only in band or choir or in art class, but they're phenomenal at it. Sometimes these are exactly the types of things that draw people to a school. The achievements that don't necessarily win you a medal, but you're still accomplishing great things. I think we should shine a spotlight on those kids as well, maintaining a good relationship with the local paper, helping promote upcoming events and activities. I know the play is coming up in October, so everybody go see the play. And, you know, just making sure that all accomplishments, because sometimes the smallest, the thing that seems small to us is the major high school accomplishment that a child has achieved. So, you know, we've had amazing talent come through our school, and we need to recognize that.
I would like to first recognize Amber. She was endorsed by the Minnesota Parents Alliance as a candidate for school board, so good for you, Amber. You can go on their website and see her little narrative and things there on it. Again, it's the Minnesota Parents Alliance, so thanks for that. This shows the quality of candidates that are up here. I'm in agreement with Pam that there used to be a time, and Todd Sesker was here actually as a superintendent, that we did have a corner column in the Beacon, and he would put in kind of some updates and things. I see Jim Johnson's here, so he's done a good job putting letters in the weight and giving opportunity to communicate through those letters to the public, and I'm sure that the school can work out some arrangement with the Beacon. Thank you.
I think for communicating, I like to do it in person. By attending events. Could be any kind of games, could be choir concerts, band choirs, or band concerts, musicals. I'm out there, I'm always there. It seems like there's maybe only one day a week that we don't have a event going on for some reason in our school. That's how I promote, and that's how I will promote, is just talking in public all the time. Thanks.
I apologize if I was long-winded last time. No reminder, thank you. So really, the question, going back to, is how do you envision communicating school district accomplishments? I think the school board really did realize that we had a disconnect in communicating with the community, and part of that was taken on by creating a marketing group. And so some of you on Facebook will be seeing pop-ups about Cannon Falls. There's other districts that are searching Cannon Falls. They're getting pop-ups, artificial intelligence, mainly because we are beginning to address that. One of the things that I was driving was the superintendent communicating more with the Beacon. In the business world, there's TED Talks. We're going to do Jeff Talks. We've already spoken about it. He's willing to do it. That's probably not his bailiwick, but he's willing to communicate with the community. So personally, you can reach me through text, email, the school website, through my email. Thank you.
Yeah, to kind of hit on that as well, being on the board for this short time now, I've certainly learned of the marketing team that's been put in place and what that looks like. And to further expand on that, what I found interesting is in my line of work, I work with brands, right? And I sell and market brands, and I have about 30 different brands I work with currently, and I've worked with hundreds, right? And they all make good product, right? And I think the school is a good product. I think the students are great products. But the best ones out there that you see and that you buy the most are the best marketers. So we have the ability to market ourselves now, and in my opinion, is one of the greatest ways we can tell our story. Because the story that gets put out there a lot is on social media, and it's maybe not positive. But if it's coming from the school and we have a budget for it, it's going to be positive, it's going to highlight everybody, and it's already, you already seen it working. So I think that is the biggest part of that.
I really should be Miss Williams. Sorry, Arlo.
Yeah, obviously social media, I think we're killing it in that department. I think the new stuff that the board has been doing recently, just even my short time that I've been on, stated on it, I think we're doing a really good job of that. I see lots of stuff in the Beacon, whether it's the actual paper or it's the print that's getting posted online. I think it looks amazing. I think it was great. I think our schools look great. And in this day and age, the more that we can get out there on the internet world and everything like that, the more that it brings all the attention and the love to us. But I think the other awesome thing too that I just recently noticed too is that we have a student on the school board. And I think that's awesome. I think we get to hear firsthand all the cool things that are happening in the school, and like people have said, word of mouth too, you know, to show the accomplishments and everything like that. I loved listening to what he had to say about the school and this fun stuff that's happening in the high school and everything like that. So, yeah.
Well, I just echo, you know, a lot of good ideas here. You can't come up, more ideas the better. One thing I do want to comment is, I had a workshop a few weeks ago called Play to Your Strengths. Anyone ever been in that workshop for work? No? Okay, it was pretty neat. The short of it is, you have strengths, so play to them. We tend to focus on what we aren't doing so well and put a lot of energy into trying to bring those things up. But what you want to do is, you've got strengths, things you're doing well, and ride those, play those, focus on those. Not to the exclusion, of course, of improvement needed in areas of the improvement, but I would just look at it that way as far as how we communicate.
Okay, the last part was the conclusion. Originally, I told all of them 3 minutes. I really like the way the time's gone. Let's try to have a brief conclusion on why you are asking for these individuals' vote, and then allow one-on-one time so you can ask any direct questions or personal. I guess we would be starting with you, Luke.
All right, thank you. I think throughout all this, you know, being on the board for a short time now and being up here, leadership is tough, right? It's always tough to get up and put yourself out there. I've been lucky enough to be around incredible leaders, people that have taken me under their wing and really helped guide me in a direction where maybe I needed some leadership. And they brought me along, and I think I can do that. I think I'm in the community. You know, I have my beliefs, but they're not always right. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to speak with people. I've talked to teachers. Most of the teachers, I know them. And it's not because I'm on the board. I knew before I was on the board. And there's a level of comfort there. And then the community too. My family is from here. I feel I can welcome in conversation and also seek out conversation that isn't necessary. So I would love to hear your vote in November. If you have any questions, my information is posted on the school website. I'm on Facebook, I'm on those things. Reach out, text, call, whatever it may be. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. I'll be brief again. So, really my message is for a lot of people to get out and vote on November 8th. There's a lot of issues out there. And so, the school board really being one of them. And so, your representatives, so get out and vote. Cannon Falls really does put out a good product. I think the thing, you know, we mentioned MCAs, and it's the important part that it's not 56 or 53 percentile. I think you have to go back and understand the math. So I'm just going to mention that. You can look at the report. And so it's always being adjusted. So I think you have to remember that. Class sizes in the Cannon Falls School District, we've held to them over the years. We do a great job at that. We have to probably promote that more than we really do. So myself personally, I didn't need to do this role. I did it in 2002, and I had the honor of handing my girls their diploma. And the second time around now, my friends have asked me, why are you running? I'm giving back to the community. I don't need to do this. I chose to do this because I feel education is important. And I'm giving what I know back to the community.
You, the community, has a decision to make. What I'd like you guys to do is, I'd like you all to look up here. And what people do you recognize? What people do you see in the community? What people do you see at the school? What people do you see helping volunteer, donating their time, maybe donating money to different things, whether it's community or the school? And that's what you need to decide. You need to see, what kind of person do you want representing you and your children? Thank you.
Well, I'll close with a couple stories. The first one was when I was on the school board last time, I had a parent who had a special needs child. And the child was about 8th grade, 9th grade. He wasn't progressing in his anticipated education and learning. And the parent was concerned, and they approached me. And so I got the parent and the child together with the special ed teacher, and we had a meeting. And the parent was able to share her frustration with the child at home, and the teacher was able to share her frustration with her teaching of the child, and he wasn't responding. And we had the child also telling us what best methods he had himself for learning and what worked for him and what didn't. And so I suggested to the teacher to go back and look through some resources, that's what her specialty is, and come up with some other solutions or some other techniques for the child. And that did occur. And about 4 months later, the parent had noticed improvement in the child, and the teacher thanked me for challenging her to look for other methods and means to help the student improve their education. So that's the way I function on the board. The last time I was there, to be as accessible to the parents, to the student, and to work resolution for the benefit of all three parties involved. The second story I have just happened a 3 weeks ago. And a young lady was taking pictures of the school, and I was walking up to the building, and I was kind of going to be in her way, and so I waited. And she was taking photos. I didn't know who she was. I asked who she was, what she was doing. And she was another teacher, young teacher from the school system here. And she was taking photos because she told me that a lot of kids learn better with pictures. And so she was taking some photos of various things around the school to use as a teaching aid for some of the kids that she works with. And then she made the comment to me that she was a little puzzled in the elementary teaching methods, and that the kids come through first, second, third grade, and they come through different teachers and different teaching methods. And then those kids are mixed together as they move through the grades. And the kids are coming in with different learning skills and different methods of learning because of the variety of teacher methods that are coming up through the school. And she said it's very obvious when the kids are mixed together, they're very confused. And that's an issue that needs to be resolved. And so,
3 minutes.
Am I past my 3 minutes?
Yeah.
So those are just 2 stories that I could share that maybe saw how I work with parents and the kids, and how I'm available to even teachers just at the spur of the moment to kind of understand and offer some assistance. So thank you for your vote. We're the Do School at School group, so thanks for that.
In preparation for today, I reached out to several people, parents, teachers, and even someone from the Minnesota Department of Education. I wish I had gotten to answer more questions, but I really like to ask questions to find out, more about what I'm trying to do. I wanted to know what teachers need from the board, what the parental concerns are, and I wanted to know if our kids are really getting everything they need to succeed. Not only in school, because that's a small fraction of their life in most cases, but are we preparing them for life, to be lifelong learners and contributors to society? A resounding theme of the feedback was communication. Teachers want to feel heard. They want to be asked. They want to be asked for their input. They want to feel listened to, and they want to help the board make tough decisions and come up with creative solutions. Parents want to be respected as their kid's first educator. They want to know that the board is putting education first and politics on the back burner. And they most importantly want to know that their child is safe at school. Safe from bullying, safe from physical harm, and safe from psychological damage. And while I didn't ask many students what they want out of school, I'd sure like to have that conversation. I'd love to take a day, if not many, and see what the school day is like now. No doubt many similarities to my high school days, but along with a lot of new struggles and challenges. So I hope you'll consider voting for me on November 8th. Thanks.
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming out on a nice day and listening to us. Like I said earlier, I served in the military. I did a tour in Iraq, and I've been a substitute teacher. And in both those instances, I worked with people who I didn't get along with, whether it be my teammates in Iraq, or if I have students, now I'm not saying I didn't get along with them, I'm saying, you know how students treat substitute teachers. No matter how rude they were, I had their back. I helped them when they needed help. When I was in Iraq, no matter how much I disagreed or didn't get along with my teammate in a Humvee, we had each other's back because we were part of a team. We don't leave people behind, we take care of one another. My whole thing on running for the school board is I want to bring people together, find common ground. There's 12 of us up here for 4 slots. 8 of us are going to walk away empty-handed. A lot of you are going to be disappointed the day after the election. Those of us that are fortunate enough to get elected, we have to remember, we are school board members for everybody, not just the people that voted for us. So I'm asking you to trust me. Even if you don't agree with me, I will listen to you. I will take care of you. I will give you a chance to give your peace of mind to me. I will be a school board member for everybody in this community. Thank you.
I also want to thank you very much for coming out and spending a very exciting 2 hours here on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. And I'm just going to be very honest with you why I am running, and I want to tell you why I'm running as a team with Matt, Mark, Marlo, and me, the 3 M's. Somebody earlier mentioned that we play to our strengths. And over the last year, I've been getting to know these 3 guys. And I'll tell you, sometimes Mark makes me crazy because he is such a stickler for detail. But I tell you, if I'm taking off in a plane, I feel really good knowing that it was Mark that made sure that the plane was safe and had gone through the checklist because of his focus and his attention to detail that he doesn't let go of. I'm not like that. But I'm thrilled to have somebody looking out for our city and our kids with that focus and that attention to detail. When I've been getting to know Matt and Marlo, I see hearts that are servant hearts, that want to serve, that deeply, deeply care about our kids and the future of our kids and their education and the disconnect in our city and what we can do to make it whole and to make it healthy again. And I know not everybody comes from the same place that I do. I I think we all agree on the idea of academic excellence. I feel very, very strongly that the parents are the final authority in their kids' lives, not the school, not the state. And I'm not happy with some of the things that I've seen come down from the state or the federal government. And it's my intention to be the representative for our kids in our community, and protect them. I also believe in protecting childhood innocence. And I know we can talk more about that privately, but I'll just say it this way. I really strongly believe that our children need sex education that is age appropriate and that is healthy. And I also believe in non-political classrooms. I want our children to grow up knowing that it is solely their effort, their integrity, and their determination, and not the color of their skin, that is going to determine their success. And I want them to know that deeply, and I want them to love this country that was founded in 1776. Okay? That's where I'm coming from. And if the majority of our community doesn't feel that way, that's okay. I'm standing up here because that's what I believe. And I know that my team that we're running, you know why we decided to run together? Number one, look at all the flyers we produced for a quarter of the cost. And the signs, plus we support each other. Okay, thanks. Pam Collins.
Thank you all for coming. I'm asking for your vote because I am up here as an independent, objective, big picture, no skin in the game candidate. I don't have any students in the school system. I care about giving them the best public education that they can get to be prepared for the global economy that they're going to live in, so that when they come back to our community, they help create the best Cannon Falls we have going forward, no matter what changes are going to occur. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. We need our students to have the creative and critical problem-solving skills to be prepared for that, and that's the primary responsibility of a public education, right? And I'm a public education success story. I came from a rinky-dink little town, went on to college, got my master's, and I have a successful business here in town. And I want all of our students, no matter what their choices are, to have that same opportunity. So this is what I can say to you. When those people, when we are elected to the board, I want to come in with a clean slate. I want to come in and assume best intentions, and I want us to do the best that we can for our kids. And to do that, I need your vote.
I've been doing a lot of door knocking the last week, and people ask me why I'm running. And, you know, coming from a ministry background, I say I'm running because I want to be salt. I strive to be salt and light. Salt puts out fires, and it preserves things. And I'm hearing, how do I hear about fires and things? I'm just talking to people. Some of the things that I've heard, I'm sure you all know this. One student graduated last year, and he was just, it was bugging him to no end that people were running around with cat ears and tails in classes. He didn't understand why that was happening, but he thinks it should be ended. So that's one example. Another example, I talked to a young lady, several kids in the school district. She said, my daughter does not want to go to school. She's terrified, she's being bullied. And I said, what do you mean, like physically? He said, no. She said, if they're not a part of a certain clique, being an athlete, in speech, dance, whatever it might be, they're almost treated as if they don't exist. And she was getting emotional as I'm talking at her door for 20 minutes. And I didn't know what to say to her other than just come and talk to Pam and I at Cannon Bells on Thursday morning. I want to hear more about your story. You don't deserve to have a daughter that is afraid to go to school. So that's some of the salt that needs to be extracted from people, listening to them, finding out what's their concerns. And then the light, you know, illuminating the beautiful. Like I said, we have many things to be proud of. In my short time here in Cannon Falls, I've learned about a ton of merit scholars, exceptional teachers. Dance is the talk of the state. So that needs to be highlighted. And then also the exposing the ugly. You know, I mentioned a couple things there. I know some ugly. A lot of people believe there's a lot of ugly, as Pam mentioned, coming down from the state. With social studies, rewriting the social studies curriculum, take a look at the curriculum that's being rewritten. They added a whole new category called ethnic studies. For the first time in history, they eliminated experts in those categories. I'm talking about state and not canon, but we're in the state of Minnesota. So they eliminated them and they put activists on the Pellsbury board to appoint people. So it's concerning. And Mark and I were on a conference call, 7 hours in front of the administrative judge, voicing concerns to this judge about this proposed curriculum. Those are just a few things that, you know, I care about as a youth minister. Our kids are our future, and they deserve to grow up in a country that values the United States of America, that highlights the greatness of what our country is and will be with future leaders. Thank you.
Amen. Mr. Frankie. Curtis.
You stole my line. Kids are the future. These students today are tomorrow's leaders. We all want them to have the best education they can. And I am a willing servant to that purpose for you, and I will be available anytime. Talk to me about things. I want to hear from you. Really can't see anything else that hasn't been said. So I appreciate your vote. We will see you another day. Thanks for coming out.
Okay, almost done, guys. Almost done. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know everything. I don't have the answer to everything. And so I think it's huge to ask questions. I'm all about asking questions and continue to learn and continue to grow. I think the very second that people decide to stop asking questions is the moment that we stop learning, honestly. So I'm all ears to suggestions and to hearing out staff and to hearing out community and to hearing out kids, to be honest. I think that's huge. I think it's huge that I'm a parent, like some of these other parents, that actually have kids in the school district that want to step up and want to help and want to be here. We know firsthand what's going on in the schools. I'm not getting my information from social media, the news, or anything like that. I'm getting my information firsthand. We know what's happening in the schools. We know what's going on with our schools and with our kids. And I think that's huge versus just going off of hearsay. I'm motivated to be here, like I said, because my kids are there, you know, so I'm motivated. I want to be a voice for all of the parents. You know, I want to do my best to have everybody have a say, you know. Having a little bit of community experience that I already have with, like I said, with working with the Veterans Memorial stuff, I think it's huge to be a team player and to be able to sit up at a table with people and to be able to work together and to hear each other out. It's not just your opinion, that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a communication system that's supposed to happen. We're supposed to work together. And obviously the career that I do, problem solving is, that's my second nature. You know, that's what I do. It's all about approaching something before it turns into a bigger issue. And I think that's also something that I plan on doing as well. You know, and I think it's important. So yeah, otherwise, like I said earlier, I want to earn your trust. I want to earn your vote. So by all means, if you have questions, if you have comments, shoot them at me. That's what I'm here for. And I hopefully see you guys out in November.
Thank you to all of you for coming out. Doing your civic duty of voting is very important, and being an informed voter equally important. So thank you. Thank you to the candidates for A, willing to run, and B, willing to be here. And thank you to our Savior's Evangelical Lutheran Church for the use of their facility without me requiring to buy a liability insurance, so I appreciate that. And I did talk to a couple of the elders, and they're agreeable. If you want to talk to any of the candidates, we'll keep the facility open for a couple hours. Here's an opportunity. I'm sure people have commitments and they have to